Hello and welcome back to another visual pattern challenge. Here's our visual pattern today. We've got steps 1 through 4 all laid out here, and we've got some squares and some triangles. So your challenge is to take a look at this and see if you can figure out how many shapes are in step 5. If you can figure that out, can you figure out how many in step 43? And can you write an equation to predict the number of shapes in any step at all? If you'd like to accept that challenge, pause the video, give it a try. All right, so I think we can predict step 5 fairly easily here if we just look at first the squares and then the triangles and see what they're doing. The squares, we start out with 2, and then we have 3, then we have 4, then we have 5. So I think there are going to be 6 squares in step 5. That makes sense. That follows the pattern. With the triangles, we start out with 0, then we have 2, then 4, then 6. So I think the triangles, there are going to be 8 of them. So our total number of shapes would be 6 plus 8, or 14. So that's my prediction for step number 5. To think about step 43, I'm going to analyze these numbers and try to write an equation first. So I'll make a chart with the step number and the number of shapes. So in the first step, we just have those 2 squares. And then in the second step, we've got the 3 plus 2 triangles, that's 5. And in the next step, we've got 4 and 4, so that's 8. And in the next step, we've got 5 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 5 and 6 is 11. Okay. Once we've listed out all the numbers here, we can find the differences. So we're going to subtract. 5 minus 2 is 3, 8 minus 5 is 3, and 11 minus 8 is 3. And this is what I expected. We have a constant in our differences, which means this pattern is growing by the same amount from step to step. And that means it's a linear pattern when that number is constant. So we can use this equation for a line, y equals, getting ahead of myself, y equals mx plus b. And that m, the slope of a line, is actually going to be the 3 here, the amount that the pattern is growing from step to step. So we can write y equals 3x, and then we'll have something for our b here, but we want to try it out first to figure out what that has to be. So in step 1, now y is going to give us the total number of shapes. X is the step number, so y equals 3 times 1. If that was our formula, our complete equation, we would get a prediction of 3 shapes, but we have 2. So that's 1 too many. So I've got to subtract 1. So our b is negative 1. And this is our equation, y equals 3x minus 1. So I'm going to jot that down here. We can go ahead and test this with a couple. So in step 2, we'd say y equals 3 times 2 minus 1. 3 times 2 is 6, minus 1 is 5. Yeah, there are 5 shapes there. In step 3, y equals 3 times 3 minus 1. That'd be 9 minus 1, that's 8 shapes. And that's how many there are. So this equation is predicting accurately what's in our pattern. And all that's left then is to use that same equation to predict what's in step 43. So y equals 3 times 43 minus 1. And 3 times 43, let's see, 3 times 40 is 120, and 3 times 3 is 9. So that's 129 minus 1, or 128 shapes in step 43. Well, is that what you got? Did you get 14 for step number 5? Did you get this equation? Let me know. Thanks, everybody.